AEW has scrapped what could have been major plans for Bryan Danielson. In this video, I'm going to share exactly what the promotion originally had planned, because Bryan Danielson has had the wrestling world talking since becoming world champion for AEW. This is for two reasons. One, his big win over Swerve Strickland in a career versus title match that headlined All in London just a few short weeks ago at Wembley Stadium, and what happened at All Out. Jon Moxley had attacked him after retaining the world title over Jack Perry and put a plastic bag over him. It was a big betrayal considering they were in a faction together. Now, Darby Allin is someone that has previously earned a title shot against Danielson at the Grand Slam episode of Dynamite on September 25th. That has changed as Danielson will now wrestle Nigel McGuinness in a non-title match, while Allin, well, he will put his title shot on the line against Jon Moxley at Grand Slam. The winner of Moxley versus Allin will wrestle Danielson for the world title, and although not confirmed, it appears that this future title bout will likely happen at WrestleDream in November. The September 11th episode of Dynamite saw Allin and Moxley finally come face to face. Allin stated in his promo that he had a lot to talk with Jon Moxley about, bringing up the fact that he performs at a high level because he doesn't take anything for granted in wrestling. Allin then called out Moxley, his hero, saying that he wanted to be just like him. Allin also recalled gaining confidence after meeting Moxley for the very first time, and this led to the match. Now, what is so interesting about this is Bryan Danielson, he is slated to retire from full-time wrestling. That's not to be confused from just wrestling in general. He plans to do part-time wrestling and work that schedule for years to come. He's talked about wanting to do it into his 50s and his 60s, right? And this is a middle 40-ish kind of guy. And he also has a lot of wear and tear on his body. He has already confirmed that he needs neck surgery by the end of 2024, which most people expect him to lose the title before then, right? He wouldn't have major neck surgery and still be champion and, vacate it. It wouldn't make a lot of sense. Now, this is where things get a lot more interesting, because Dave Meltzer previously reported that there was serious discussions about putting the title on Allin in the near future. However, while speaking on Wrestling Observer Radio, Meltzer noted that AEW had in fact decided, we were going to put the title on Allin at one point. But that one point, well, it has passed. Because Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio that the winner between Moxley and Darby, well, they're going to wrestle Danielson for the title at WrestleDream. Darby was at one point winning that match. And because he's from Seattle and, he's a top guy in the promotion, he's an over babyface. However, as Meltzer noted, the money match right now is very clearly Jon Moxley. Meltzer added that he'll do other matches, meaning Danielson, his part-time schedule. However, the poster for Grand Slam Australia, which is in February of 2025, does not feature Bryan Danielson. So there's two things that have happened here. One, Darby Allin is no longer in line to get a title shot. And two, he is no longer in line to win the championship, because Jon Moxley has lit the wrestling community on fire with both his promo a few weeks ago, where he sent a direct message, right, to AEW saying that this was not your company anymore. And now with the plastic bag angle, right, at All Out with Bryan Danielson. There's no reason why Bryan Danielson should defend the title against Darby Allin right now. Everything says that you should defend it against Jon Moxley. And I think that is what AEW is going to do. That is something in which they must do, because right now they are building up various events. Think about the last few weeks. They had to build up All In. They had to build up All Out. Now they got to build up Grand Slam, right? And so now you got to build up WrestleDream. So, and oh, by the way, you have a top champion who is very limited in his matches right now, because they're trying to pick and choose the matches in which he can do on a very selective basis. If you look at the landscape of AEW, clearly they have a lot of household names. Bryan Danielson being one of them. However, they're also dealing with the fact that they just lost MJF because reportedly he's going to film a movie. And now you have Swerve Strickland. He's going to be off of television for the foreseeable future after his very violent match with Hangman Page at All Out. So you combine all of that, and they got to go with someone. What does Tony Khan do in trustworthy moments? He goes with Jon Moxley. Whenever he needs a champion to step up, it's Jon Moxley. Whenever they need someone to replace CM Punk, whether it be due to injury or suspension, they went with Jon Moxley. Tony Khan has called Jon Moxley his most valuable player in all of AEW. Now, Bryan Danielson is actually very close with Tony Khan, both personally and professionally. Behind the scenes, they get along very well, and in fact, Bryan Danielson is a crucial role on the creative team in AEW. He's also part of the discipline committee. Famously, he handled the Jack Perry CM Punk debacle, ultimately ruling that Punk needed to be fired, right? He recommended that they get rid of him. But Tony Khan had the final say. Bryan Danielson's a very, very important guy to AEW. He has talked about how he has no intentions of ever leaving AEW because there's no reason to. Think about it. He gets paid really good money. He can work against some of the best in pro wrestling. He can work any show he wants with anyone he wants in any promotion that he wants, right? Like, it's unlimited what he can do in AEW, while if he went back to WWE, sure, they discussed at one point, hey, you could go work the G1. You could go work New Japan guys. But were they really going to let him do that? I find that hard to believe. Now, I understand right now, things are different. Triple H, he's letting guys go work with Pro Wrestling Noah. He's letting them go to all these different indies. Your GCWs of the world, right? They're working with TNA. So it is a little bit different. The only problem is he wouldn't be able to work against New Japan guys because New Japan has a working relationship with AEW. And in order for WWE to send talent to New Japan, then New Japan would no longer need a working relationship with AEW. And AEW is probably more inclined to work with New Japan on a regular basis, therefore helping New Japan in the long run rather than a short-term kind of iffy relationship with WWE. So all that being said, it makes more sense for Bryan Danielson to stay in New Japan, right? And he's part of the creative team, and there's a lot more pros, right? Although WWE, they've reduced the schedule in terms of touring and such. They're cutting back on house shows. AEW still has a better schedule overall because they don't run as many house show international events as, say, WWE does. Let me know down in the comments area below, what do you think about these scrapped plans, these nixed plans for Bryan Danielson. If you enjoyed content like this, I highly recommend you go and check out our AEW playlist. And I hope you guys enjoy that kind of content.